Spring Television. Ours it is.
All right, this is another time, so good a time to be back again. The Friday edition of Morning Spring coming to you live from Western Spring Television. Good morning. How are we doing? I'm really excited. The weekend has started for me, but then there's still more work over the weekend, no doubt. Good morning. Thank you for joining us once again on Morning Spring, live from Western Spring Television, channels 190 on the Star Times DTT. I'm super excited because, what I have been waiting for, he decided to take a breather, a long vacation, and decided to abandon me alone on set to do my thing alone. But here he is this day, and I hope he had a wonderful vacation. I will do that very shortly. TUNDE IDOWU is my name, at Irresistible TD on Twitter. And as I always say, let's plug along, let's tag along, and let's do the needful. Quite a whole lot has to be said right there. And I'd like to assure you that all our social media handles are vibrant and they are definitely raring to go. On Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Western Spring Television. And when I made mention of the fact that, he went on vacation and he's back, and is super excited to have him back. Very good morning to you out there.
Good morning to me. Good to me. Yeah.
How was it? Been away?
Very well.
Good.
It's refreshing. Good to be here.
He is refreshed. Dr. Adefila, please take note. My own vacation starts from now.
Come on.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah,
all right.
I'm very excited.
Right, let's do this together. We promise you, as always, it's going to be as exciting as usual. It's a bumper package. You can be rest assured. We'll definitely, first of all, check out headlines making the rounds from the dailies.
Yes.
There's quite a whole lot of dailies we've got with us right here. And we'll look at headlines. We'll analyze this. And looking at the commissioner list as well, there has been quite a whole lot of reactions to it. But we would want to take those reactions and look at what it looks like for all the members of this society, this state. They have, there's been mixed reactions. There have been the thumbs up, there's been the thumbs down about this. And in the course of the program, we will bring in our guests and we will be able to analyze all this. Right. So it promises to be an exciting edition of the program, Morning Spring, and obviously it's the Friday edition, the last for the week.
Thank God it's Friday.
FEMI is coming in the last for the week, whereby he's a little bit, well, there's more work to be done, right? We promise you. FEMI, any other thing from you?
You've gone through the business of the day. Definitely. And, looking at the commissioners list, for some, it's yay. For some, is nay.
Definitely.
And duly so is expected because we can always agree on a particular thing at the same time.
Absolutely.
Now, so many things to look at, and it's going to be a bumper ride, just like you said. You don't want to just, take, possibly, if you want to take a leak, quickly go do it now, because you have to be back here.
No doubt about that.
You don't want to miss this program.
All right, definitely, you know how we do it. We'll take a short break right now, and when we return, we will definitely come in, look at some of the headlines making the rounds from the dailies that we have with us this morning. Please stick around.
This iconic African presents the narrative of a man destined to exert an imperishable global influence in Western education. His was a story of a freeborn, captured and sold into slavery. He was born in Oshogun, a native Yoruba village near Iseyin in Okeogun axis of southwest Nigeria. Samuel Ajayi Crowther was the foundation student of Fora Bay College, Sierra Leone, the foremost university where the pioneer set of native Africans were educated. Samuel Ajayi Crowther's greatest contribution to humanity was his translation of the Holy Bible into the Yoruba language. The man who authored the Yoruba dictionary was also credited with the translation of English classic hymns into Yoruba and the Ekwere languages. Samuel Ajayi Crowther's private residence in Badagry, incidentally the first story building in Nigeria, is an archival museum dedicated to the memory of Africa's first bishop. Western Spring Television identifies Samuel Ajayi Crowther as a watershed character in history.
Arrested, affected, sound, found. What do we see? What do we say? Flowing from a spring, a fact A to Z. Check and confirm. Ever expounding current events, traveling down from the business gist to the globally arising happenings, to the sports news, to the bittersweet infos. Guided transmission, even diffusion, vast and fast. Detailed facts are fled. Within seconds, nuggets of words that flew across borders are fired. Stories short and long, wrapped in bundles of words, broken and dissected as it is, except misheard. This is the news as it is.
Sports is a culture on its own. It has its own language, its own people, with their own way of life. The world of sports is never void of actions, stories, dramas, and scandals. I guess you need a sports show that can walk the walk and talk the talk.
On this show, we answer all your sporting questions. The whens, the whys, the wheres, and even the what ifs. Sports Spring is that show that will give you that new lease of life you've been looking for in sport journalism. Join me, Joseph Atewe,
And your sports Amazon, Nengi Ernest.
on this station, Western Spring Television, channel 190, only on Star Times.
Let's talk sports. Let's speak the most universal language of the world.
Gbadamosi Adegoke Adelabu was a prominent figure in Ibadan politics and Western region before Nigeria's independence. He was a key founder of the National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroons, a political party that held lofty the torch of liberty for the two West African countries. He carved a niche for himself as a wordsmith and a creative speaker. The nickname Kwenkele was a natively corrupted version of peculiar mess, his bombastic English language style often used to score proceedings at the parliament. The author of Africa in Ebullition, a handbook of freedom for Nigerian nationalists, was Nigeria's Federal Minister of Natural Resources and Social Services between 1955 and 1956. He died in an auto crash on the 25th March 1958 at the age of 42. Western Spring Television identifies Adegoke Adelabu as a watershed character in history. The 1914 Amalgamation Treaty is synonymous to the birth of Nigeria. Frederick Lugard, a British Army captain and an outlaw who struck gold in Africa, became the instrument used by destiny to make it happen. The amalgamation of Nigeria was designed for economic reasons by the colonial administration to offset Northern Protectorate budget deficit by Southern Protectorate surplus returns. The amalgamation had ad initio created imbalance in the economic political structure of Nigeria and was responsible for the persistent hiccups and the efforts to forge a united country till today. Nigeria's amalgamation was labeled as the mistake of 1914 by native northern conservatives who neither wanted it nor contributed anything significant to its sustenance. Western Spring Television identifies with Amalgamation Treaty of 1914 as a watershed event in history.
Turn it up! It's the Wild Wild West, and Western Spring Television is pulling out all the stops to make sure that you don't miss out on every of the fun and happenings around you. Yup, we've got you covered because your girls got all the juiciest tidbits and entertainment news from around the world. Cross over to the chocolatey side of entertainment. Join me, Chocolate Cassie, on Eccentric as we take you into every bit of the juiciest news, fashion, music, movie updates, and other trending conversations. Together on the show, we'll get personal with your favorite celebrities via phone call, Zoom, or even live here in the studio. Eccentric will be shown on your TV screen on Western Spring Television, channel 190, only on StarTimes.
All right, let's get down to business of the morning. Once again, if you're just joining us, welcome to Morning Spring right here from Western Spring Television, the station that says it as it is. We don't compromise. We say it as it is. Thank you to all the entire transmission team for making this happen in the space of this very short period. And I say a thumbs up to you guys. Right, let's do the needful. You know how we do it. We check out stories making the rounds from the dailies, first of all. And before we go straight into details of what we want to do in the course of this program, definitely, you know how we do it. And Femi is still very much around, but we'd like to obviously welcome our guest who will be doubling as our analyst this morning. It's a pleasure to have the former Dean Student Affairs of Federal Polytechnic, Dr. OLUYEMI OMOTOSHO Jr. Thank you most sincerely, Doctor. Thank you for taking your time out to be with us.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, let's take up some of the headlines making the rounds from the papers this morning. First of all, I'll kick things off from the pages of the Punch newspaper as well. The Punch newspaper is the big bold caption. It's all about fuel subsidy. And it says, governors plan cash transfer to poor households, dump Buhari's list. Then there is a rider. There are two riders there. It says, state to compile new social register, governors to spend FAC allocation on scheme. Tinubu approves infrastructure fund. NEC adopts gas-powered vehicles for state. Now, here we go. Doctor, governors plan cash transfer to poor. First of all, let's look at this. Who are the poor? How do you determine who are the poor?
Right. Thank you very much. That's a very good question. And that answers the whole thing. The problem we had with Buhari was that there was no database. And as we talk, we don't still have a database. And the government that are saying discrediting the Buhari's list and all the rest, they didn't say that during that time.
Yes.
They joined him, they collaborated with him, stole all the money. We didn't know. I've asked the poorest of the poor around my house. There are many in my community. Whether you are giving anything, nobody was giving anything. So we don't really know whom they give. The first thing is to set up to have a database. And unfortunately for us, as good as we are, the unfortunate thing is that we have so many brilliant people saying the same thing everywhere. Now, this is a country of about 200 million people, according to the Bretton Woods Institution. We don't have a credible census of our own. And a country that has no credible census of its own, who doesn't know his own people, definitely cannot know, the number of people that lives in the state. And if you don't know the number of people that live in your state, how do you plan? Yes. So if you can't quantify the number, your population, state by state, local government and local government, ward by ward, then you can know. And the indices of population says you must male and female, poor and not poor, the vulnerable and the rest of them. All this will be explained, will be analyzed through the population census. Yes. But when we don't have that, how do we plan? And that is why most of the things government do are shoddy. There is no data. And then again, we organize the NIN, you are aware of that. You have a card now. And then the Federal Inland Revenue has its own team. The Federal Road Safety has its own. And so many agencies like that. In the course of all that, we have not networked all of them together. To the extent that if you show your ID card, it will show the details of who you are, where you work, where you come from, and the rest of it. So there is no database. And we are still, groaning in the dark, saying that we want to, who are the poor? Like you said, we don't know them. How many are they? We don't know. Where are they? We don't know. And the only thing we know in this country is that more than 10 million people, children are out of school. And then where are they? We don't even know. We even have 133 million multidimensionally. So all those figures are from the World Bank and the IMF, the Bretton Woods Institution. And it's unfortunate. The first thing we need to do is to actually know how many people are in this place called Nigeria. If we don't know that, and that's the problem we are having with the petrol. We don't even know our consumption per day. At the time it was 55 million, you remember? Yes, please. Later they say 65. Later they say 85. Later they say 105. Now immediately they remove subsidy. It dropped to about 40 or less than 40 million liters per day. So all those, when we are actually calculating on 105 million naira and liters per day, where are the differences? Where is the money you spend? Who are the people taking the money? It means they were cheating us. It was fraudulent. And so there is no database, and it is because our population census has never been credible. You remember, Buhari wanted to do census. Yes. He cancelled it. That's after they have spent so much money again. Yeah. I want to repeat again. A country where you have pervasive corruption, endemically pervasive corruption, cannot develop.
Before I bring in Femi here, I'm looking at what the writer to this story here still says here. It says states to compile new social register, governors to spend FAC allocation on scheme. Now, should this thing be done state by state? Leave every state governor to determine what should be done for the poor of the poorest?
Now, in this case now, if the states are to do it, it will be politicized. We need an independent body, approved by government to actually conduct a census for Nigeria. We need a credible census. That is the only way that can make us believe what they are doing is credible. Now, when a governor says he wants to compile the list, how are we sure it's not going to be biased, against his own local government, his own city, his own town? And then each state now will put all sorts of criteria that another state may not accept, and in that case, you come out with a figure that we don't accept. Look at Lagos today and Kano. Somebody will tell me Kano is more populous than Lagos. How can you say that? I live in Lagos, I school in Lagos, and then today I still believe more than 27 million people are living in that Lagos because Lagos is densely populated. Absolutely. And is the most populous state in this country. But again, our population will tell us, the World Bank will tell you maybe 7 million. And when they are doing election, they will distribute, they say those who are qualified to vote will be maybe 7 million. Those who will vote will be about 3 million. And then you don't really know what we are doing. So the states conducting a register will not be credible because they now want to do it at a time when, special amenities will be distributed. So people, that particular register, will lack credibility from the beginning. We need an independent body to do that, and that is the first thing they have to do before they start all their social network programs, because you must know the number of people. If you call a governor now, how many people are poor in your state? Can he tell us? Even in this country, as we talk here, we don't know the population of students. I'm telling you, that is true. We don't know how many people are in our tertiary institutions today. We don't even know how many people are graduating. We are just assuming. The figures we are using are just assumptions here and there. And so we really need a credible population. And what has been causing problems for our population census is this religion. That Muslims are more than Christians, Christians are more than Muslims. I think we should jettison that out of the data and then just count ourselves and know how many people live in this enclave so that we can plan. We can't plan without knowing how many people we are. If you are the head of a family and you have a salary, you must know how many people you cater for before you can plan on your salary. And that is how it was from family to world to local government to state to the nation. And then it was when the IMF and World Bank felt Nigeria is a big problem to international businesses that they gave us a population of 200 million. I still personally believe we are not up to 200 million.
Wow. All right. Doctor, before we go to the next paper, here, one of the writers here says, Tinubu approves infrastructure fund. NEC adopts gas-powered vehicles for states. Now, when you're talking about infrastructure fund, many persons are wondering what exactly do they mean by that. Now, there was the issue of the palliative, 8,000 naira per household, in which many persons feel, they felt and they are still feeling insulted. How do you mean 8,000 naira per month to be distributed over 6 months? Now we are hearing infrastructure fund and then adopting gas-powered vehicles for states. Is this the way to go?
Well, let me say from the onset that, the kind of hope we have on the president is almost being dashed. We assumed he's an acclaimed strategist and tactician. We can't see that coming to reality.
Isn't that too early?
But it's not too early. But we can give him the benefit of doubt. Okay. But he has taken some decisions, and then he starts putting the cart before the horse. That is the problem. Most of the decisions he has taken are good. The problem is putting the cart before the halt. For instance, removing of subsidy. Nigeria wants subsidy removed. Why? Not because we don't want government to give us something to help us. No, but because we have realized that, most Nigerians have realized that government, you know, instead of concentrating in helping the masses, they are only using that subsidy fund for the capitalists, for the rich, for the top echelon of government. That was why Nigerians were unanimous in saying remove it. But then before you remove it, all this planning they are doing now will have been done first. That's what I mean by putting the card before the halt. If you have done the planning before, we have all contributed. If you are removing it, okay, how many people are poor? What are we going to do for them? How do we solve transportation problem? If petrol increase to 500 naira, how much can we pay workers that can take them home straight? How do we help the vulnerable? All this will have been done. We'll have had the template, and then we'll have known the date when we are going to remove the subsidy, and Nigerians will be prepared. But now, you suddenly wake up, even when that thing is not in your inauguration speech, you added it, and he's an executive president. He said subsidy is gone. That caused all sort of multiplier effect in the country, to the effect that prices have skyrocketed. We have hyperinflation now. Not only that, we should be praying that this economy doesn't run to recession, because the way inflationary trends is moving is terrible. But I think they are now thinking how to solve the problem. And then part of how to solve the problem, the infrastructure fund, fine, we need to save. We need to keep some money somewhere. You remember the excess crude account, you know, with the governor depleted that time and said, no, they can't save. If we have saved that time, it would have been better. Again, come to TUNDE again. It is again doing the wrong thing first now, because why should you be thinking of infrastructure fund now that you have actually caused hyperinflation in the country and everybody is groaning? The first thing we have to do now is how to make people comfortable, at least partially. People should be able to have money to go to their working place, food to eat, the cost of food insecurity. So if you have any money now, it is to cushion the effect of the subsidy removal first. Yesterday night, we heard on the news that, you know, they said FAC will share 1.9 trillion this month. They decided in NEC yesterday that, look, we can't share all the money. We should share 900 billion and keep the rest. That is a wrong step. The first thing they have to do, I support saving. Government must save. That is good. But not this time. Things are so difficult now that distribute the whole of this money, give the state government directive on how to go about it. You know, states should pay their liabilities. Those who are owing pensions should pay from that money. Those who are owing salary for 7 months, 6 months should pay from that money. Those who are owing contractors should pay from that money. Then states should start thinking of how can they cushion the effect of subsidy removal from that same fund. So we need that money now to use. And when they were amusing themselves that they have 1.9 million, you know, inflation is here. And then the naira was devalued seriously. It is the cause of the devaluation of the naira that we had 1.9 million. Assuming the naira is still changing for 500 and something naira to $1, that 1.9 will not be 1.9. Possibly it will be about 800 and something, you know, billion naira. That's why it went to that. So inflation is here, and what we take the money away is there. So everybody is groaning in all nooks and crannies of the state, of the country. And so the first thing you have today to do is buy your way out of this problem by giving the states this money. This is not the time to save. Save for what? When people are dying, you know, when everything is almost collapsing. Farmers can't bring their food to town because there's transportation problem. There are some things you can do in the immediate, and that money can help you to do it. And once you have solved this problem we are having now, which government calls itself, then the next money that comes, you cannot be thinking of savings.
All right. Let's go to the Nation today.
No, sorry, Femi, before we go to it, because there's something that I saw from the pages of a Punch newspaper that I want Dr. Omotoshho to help us out with. On the top strip of the Punch newspaper, APC crisis, NWC members oppose Ganduje Tip North Central for chair. Are we in for another seasonal movie?
No, that's normal with the third world countries, political brinkmanships here and there, crisis in the party. There is no internal democracy in the party. You can't expect Tinubu to continue with what's his name? Abdullahi. After all the shenanigans they played in the primary, it was obvious they were not supporting him. And as the national chairman of a party and the secretary, you are supposed to be neutral, at least openly. They were not. They were supporting Lawan. And the man knew. And so this is a president who wants to work. If you want to work, your party must be stable. And if your party must be stable, you can't be working with those who are Zoom enemies. And so there must be reorganization in the party. I am happy for one thing. Abdullahi and Omishore were told resigned voluntarily. That is good. So the party will put his house in order now and then get new officials for the party and move the country forward. Because you know, any problem in the party is a problem for the country. The party must be stable because we are running party politics. If the party is not stable, the government will not be stable. So I like what is playing out, and if you allow the president, you know, as the leader of the party, to actually dictate where he's going, and he needs a stable party, a party that is cooperative, a party that is, you know, that is supportive to actually assist him to achieve, you know, the dividends of governance that we are expecting from him. So he cannot be solving this economic problem and be battling again with party politics, you know, acrimonies here and there, and they want to unseat him. No, that would not be good. Because whatever happened in the party, we have fed the National Assembly. Whatever has fed the National Assembly, we have fed the executive.
All right. Still staying with the punch. This one says, military destroys 23 illegal refineries, arrest 60 oil thieves. And, you know, when President Bola Tinubu came into power, he had several meetings, especially with the security chiefs. And we were told he gave them standing order, especially as it has to do with oil bunkering, you know, the oil theft. You know, and this is not just happening. We've had it almost with us. And now the president is saying, figure out these people. Who are these people? We should not be experiencing this. When you hear the amount of barrels of crude oil that are being stolen per day and how much it amounts to, I'm not sure any nation can sustain that over a period of time. And so we've seen vessels being arrested and persons being arrested with the vessel being destroyed as well. I think that happened last week or so. And now we are hearing today, military destroys 23 illegal refineries, arrests 60 oil thieves. But then some persons are saying these illegal refineries, why are they being destroyed? Why are they not being converted?
That is your
take on that, doctor.
That is exactly the same in my mind. Look, we have been talking here about modular refineries. We want it. Now, if we have some Nigerians who have the ingenuity to take this crude, either legally or illegally, refine it, and it's not knocking down cars. It's not knocking down any automobile. They are working, they are selling them, and people are buying them. They are selling it to the market. Why can't government actually make them a cluster? You can arrest them, then you know orientate them. Look, we are not going to prosecute you. What do you do? Come and be doing it here.
For the benefit of the nation.
Yeah, for the benefit of the nation. And so whatever they are doing, they are contributing to the production of oil in this country. And this importation, look, you know what problem we have now. All this money they said they are thinking of making, they are thinking of, we are still importing PMS and petrochemical products. And that is why we take away all the money. Because the cost of PMS is a function of the exchange rate. And the exchange rate is increasing every day because the Naira is collapsing. Now, if you engage those guys and they can start from there and develop to modular, those who can assist them, you assist them, and then in that case, you know, we know that some clusters of you know, entrepreneurs, you turn them to entrepreneurs, and then they can produce the fuel freely, make their profit because they want a living. That would be good. Now, for government to seize a ship and set it ablaze, I think it's unreasonable too. You can seize the ship, you can convert it to government owned. Government has power over everything. Look, your own house that you built yourself, you have CFO, government can take it over and nothing will happen. So So why can't government, instead of you have arrested it, it's illegal, if your law says you can seize it, convert it to government use, and be using it more, once you destroy it. That's billions of naira.
Is to set like a data.
No. You could arrest those who are involved, prosecute them, jail them, you know, and then take them through the legal course. I mean, setting it ablaze to me, it's not reasonable enough, because assuming it was done in the course of exchange, maybe they were exchanging fire and the thing caught fire and that's a different thing. Yes. So you can seize it, seize the property, and then prosecute those who are involved.
I actually asked my guest here yesterday the same thing that we analyzed, and thank you for bringing it to bear here, because I looked at it, they said this vessel had 800,000 liters of fuel. Where is that for? Was that fuel destroyed with that bunker, with that tanker? Or
we are not sure. Yes. And let me tell you, when you see a government agent or some group of people destroying very expensive properties like that, it should be suspicious.
Yes.
It's either some people are involved and they don't want that particular thing to serve as evidence. And then if you are going to prosecute that ship, is a major evidence either in the court of law or anywhere.
So that's destruction of
evidence. And so why are you doing that? And then you can seize it and you demobilize it. It's not working, and then you can later seize it. We have seen people in this country who are involved in criminal activities, and their properties are seized. And then it becomes that of government, and nothing will happen. And so it can happen to Nigerians, it can happen to foreigners. I think the step they took was not good. And I want to use this opportunity to encourage government, you know, instead of arresting and destroying all these guys doing bunkering, and get them together, mobilize them, motivate them, let them do what they are doing officially and contribute to the productive sector of the oil economy. We need them, and then we can by that be doing and be refining our own PMS crude that, you know, with whatever method, because at the end of the day, you cannot tell me that there are no different technologies everywhere in the world. So if we groom those guys, possibly we'll be working towards a means of refining crude that is even cheaper, and other countries may come and copy them later. Because if they can be doing it secretly and it is still effective, why can't they do it officially, and government to encourage them instead of prosecuting them? And you discourage them now from illegal activities by giving them the crude, they pay for it, and then they refine it, and you test it, you make sure it's up to standard.
Let's look at some other stories still making the round from the Punch newspaper. On the bottom strip, let me just reel through some of the other stories we have there. Jam Saga, Soludo sends Misoma on 3-month psychotherapy. Is this lady not is she a little bit unstable? But then, and also on the red strip of the Punch newspaper, ignore statements announcing oral rights. Lagos tells residents, the Lagos State government telling residents the oral thing has been a little bit scary in Lagos for some time now. And PCS, Police Service Commission, promotes cop assaulted by Sheon Kuti. 14,053 others. Why have Nigerians that police have assaulted not been promoted and given benefit? Now that a civilian has now been able to assault a police officer, the whole world is getting to see this. But then, quite a whole lot of fun here. Which other day did we have?
I really want to ask a doctor, especially about being an academic himself. The Mesoma story. You know, and now Jam Saga, Soludo Saints Mesoma on 3-month psychotherapy.
You know, it's a sad commentary. You know, I said on this program sometimes ago that you know, Jam is one of the agencies of government that has some little bit of credibility.
Yes.
Particularly since remittance, remittance has increased. We have seen credibility in their performance, and then we have seen results. And then they are moving with technology. It's been dynamic. Some people are trying to actually tarnish their image, and part of them is this Mesoma. It's a sorry case because this is a very young girl. I think it's 19. And we may not be sure of her age because she's a liar now. But then, you know, we can't be sure. If it's still 19, well, I sympathize with her. But what she has done is not good. Absolutely. She really needs to be sent for counseling. Proper counseling, not only him, and the father and the mother. And particularly all the children in their house should be counseled properly about how to grow creditably. There is nothing you get on fraudulent basis that will not end badly. You know, what she has done, she has apologized. You know, even if there will be punishment, it should be mild. I learned 3 years from jam. You know, well, that may affect our life, but then the counseling is the most important. What the lady or the girl did was appalling, and it is a sorry case. But again, I said here, a forensic investigation should be carried out, because I still believe, I'm still convinced, that girl did not do what she did alone.
Absolutely. Let's move on this morning on the program Morning Spring. Let's go straight to the Nation newspaper. The Nation newspaper, let's just look at some other stories that we probably have not analyzed, but most of this story dailies for today still carry the issue of the fuel subsidy, the palliatives, and what have you. The big bold caption on the pages of the Nation newspaper: NEC OK subsidy paying cash for poor workers, SMEs, others. Then there is a rider that says governors to drive sharing of palliatives. Well, let's look at that. We stated this earlier. Governors to drive. We remember during COVID-19,
you know, the governors are supposed to be close to the people. And yes, the word supposed. And the local governments are supposed to be closer.
Yes.
The unfortunate thing is that they are corrupt. Corruption is here, and that is the problem. Look at the COVID you just mentioned now. The international community assisted us. Politicians swindled the money. Until we discover some warehouses where most of the items sent to us from foreign countries have been deposited, have been warehoused, and they were getting spoiled. And people have to loot the houses. You remember? In fact, I saw one along Govt Appointees road. I was coming, and I saw people carrying rice, carrying flour, and I said, before I'm caught in this, I quickly ran back. Now, I asked my students later what they were doing. They were just carrying flowers and other things they were supposed to distribute to those who doesn't have the ability to work again because of COVID. That time, government got it and kept it. They wanted to steal it, but people looted it. So this idea of government, state government, they are supposed to be the closest to the people, and that would have been the best. But the unfortunate thing is that we don't even have a database. But even as it is, government, a state governor should know its people. So whatever they want to do, they still have to work with the local government chairman and the governors. And we are only begging. We can only appeal to them. We can only appeal to their conscience. In the name of God, they should help us. Nigerians are suffering. Things are so hard. These governors should be, for once, you know, be godly and help their neighbors. We are their citizens. This is our commonwealth. They should help us. The way they are behaving is wrong. As we are talking now, that things are very hard everywhere for workers, for entrepreneurs, for private people, for civil servants, for everybody. Things are very easy for politicians. And what do you see? The cost of governance is increasing every day. You can imagine them approving 70 billion naira for members of the National Assembly. That's 49 million naira per person. Meanwhile, you are thinking of giving 8,000 to one household until we shouted and they say they are reviewing it now. Two, you are not only that, you want to buy about 40 billion naira bulletproof. I mean, this is wrong. For God's sake, you know, some people wake up in their homes now and start cursing government. And then so I was looking at a video yesterday, and I saw one imam cursing government in all strata. It is unfortunate. Government should, for once, you know, be sympathetic with the citizens. This is our common wealth. I am appealing. It's an appeal now. We are begging them in the name of God to help us. Even me, at my status, I can't be paying 6,000 naira now to go to my place of work every day, because between Ede and Osogbo is 10 liters in my own car, and 10 liters is now 6,000 plus. And so 5 times a day, I mean a week, I'll be spending 6,000 times 5. That's 30,000. How much is my salary? And that is me at my own level. What of others who are not up to my status? And in that school, I am a top academic. And so, if I'm complaining, you can imagine how many people are complaining. The only people who are not complaining now are the politicians who have stolen our money. And that's why we are begging them. They should stop for once and be sympathetic with us. We are dying. People are dying. Things are so costly. Just give your wife 50,000 to go to market. When she comes back home, you almost box her, because what the 50,000 will bring is so infinitesimal. And then to the extent that, you know, it's as if they are not listening. And then you still see cars, see vehicles, combos, you know, maybe 20 with this petrol price. And so, I mean, and this is our money they are spending. They should convert this money to a waste, or to waste that it can help the masses, particularly the civil servant. Since this thing started, government is not even talking about civil servant, and we are the most heated because do you imagine that you know, prices, you fill your car in the last 1 month now, you fill a car for 15,000, it changed to 35,000, later it changed to 55,000, maybe it's about 65,000 now. How do you move? Government should please, for God's sake, at least be godly for one and care for its citizens.
Before Femi, please allow me. I'm seeing the proposal in front of the pages of the Nation newspaper. The proposals are cash transfer to the poor using state social register. Do states have this?
Those registers are not credible. Right. It is just to give money to the political boys. They should stop deceiving us. Nigerians are brilliant and intelligent people. Look, we know what they want to do. All the ones Buhari did was not accounted for. We don't even know how many people he gave. We saw that woman distributing billions of naira and he just distribute some few notes and run away with the rest. Today, we didn't know how much was spent. We didn't know how many people were given. I have not seen one person that got that money. So it's just fraud, and they should stop this fraud. I'm thinking that we don't know. We know.
Now, there's also part of it says tax-free payments to public servants for 6 months. Good move. Or just one of those political...
It's one of those things, but what the civil servant need now, and some people will disagree with it, is that, look, you have removed subsidy, which has a multiplier effect on everything. You need to increase, you have to change the minimum wage. The minimum wage is no more sustainable. It's no more realistic. You know, a situation where you are buying petrol for 87 naira before, on 30,000 naira minimum wage. Petrol is 500 now, for God's sake. Are we being realistic? Except you want them to steal. Won't they go to work? So they have to do minimum wage. They have to think of how they can assist SMEs, how they can assist artisans, how they can improve on our transport system. And this is what we tell them. When we say construct good roads, construct good roads. An average road that is well constructed should last for a minimum, according to engineer, of 25 years. If that is the case, all roads in Nigeria will have been constructed. But you know what they do? They do shoddy construction, that a road will be constructed within a year or two is spoiled. I was coming this morning, I saw the road constructed towards this place. It's already having potholes. And nobody is thinking of filling the potholes now until the road is totally damaged again. Now, when was that road constructed? And then are we having it damaged now? Because it was just not well constructed. If you want to do 10 kilometers of road, do it properly. So that when we talk of transport system, if you buy vehicles now to cushion the effect of subsidy, and you give like 300 vehicles to each state, where are the roads? Where these vehicles will fly? If the roads are not good, it means that the roads that are not good will destroy the vehicles that are good.
There's still more of those proposals. Payment of outstanding liabilities to public servants. Funding of small businesses with single-digit interest loans.
Yes.
Transition from petrol fuel to gas fuel vehicle.
If that is cheaper, government should actually work on it and make sure it is effective. And then they should look at the security. They should look at the the amount and then see how efficient it is, and then see the regularity. I was told it's very good and that it's cheaper. If it is cheaper, Nigerians will like it. We need alternative to energy. And you know, if government has actually called stakeholders from the beginning, you know what the problem this government is supposed to solve first? Our major problem in Nigeria, apart from corruption, is energy. If energy is fixed in Nigeria today, I tell you two things. These Okada people you see in town, 70% of them will go back to their normal work. Most of 70% of them are skilled in one job or the other. They left it because energy was affecting them. I have the case of a welder who couldn't continue because there was no energy, and some of us had to buy generator for him. That is one. So 70% of these Okada people you see will move out and go to their skilled jobs. That is one. Two, you will realize that the GDP of the country will increase because artisans will start working. Other people will start working and contributing to the GDP. Once our GDP increases, it means our productivity is increasing. Once our productivity increases, our naira will be strengthened. Once our naira is strengthened, the good life is here already. But the way they are going now, they have left the first thing to be done. Nobody is talking of energy now. And energy is our major problem. And this energy we are talking about, for God's sake, should be subsidized. Absolutely. If government subsidizes energy, and people can go back to productive activities, Nigeria will be the best for it. In those days of Awolowo, energy was nothing. In fact, it was public utility. And because of that, so many mechanics, artisans, apprentices, people were learning work, tailors, and they were contributing to the economy. But now, they have all run to be doing, what do we call it, Okada, which is not productive. And so, the first thing is the energy. If energy is fixed, but they are not thinking now because the removal of the subsidy has disorganized, their thinking faculty to the extent that they are only finding ways now to solve this problem they cause themselves instead of finding ways of solving energy. And the energy problem was almost being solved through solar. Yes. So people are already going into solar. So government just need to encourage, investors in that area, and then our energy will be safe. Let me give you an example. Do you know that our population is 200 million and we are generating about 4,000 to 5,000 megawatts of electricity? Yeah. What is that? South Africa here, that we assisted to get out of apartheid, the population is about 61 million. They are generating more than 85,000 megawatts. What we generate in Nigeria today is not enough for Yaba alone to use. It's unfortunate. Yes. I don't even know how we are still getting light.
Other proposals still says federal government to give 252,000 metric tons of grains to states at subsidized rates. NEMA to provide a palliative package. CBN to make rice available at subsidized rates.
These are the suggestions that will have actually started from the beginning. And if we have started that, we all know where we are going. The talk of fertilizer there, that's a long-term project. Give the workers, the farmers fertilizer. That will be good. And it will take some time before we start yielding seeing the harvest. Yes. But that is a good effort. But then, what we want now is this problem you have caused. Solve it first before you go into all those. You can be going to all those gradually, but solve this problem because, for instance, KWASU, that's the College of Education, academic staff, said that their workers will be going to work, I think twice or thrice a week. That is no productivity again. Productivity has reduced. So where will the students be if lecturers are not going to work twice a week? So you can see what they have caused with all this policy of removing subsidy without thinking it out, without sitting with stakeholders to take a decision. It has caused problems for everywhere. And like I said, it has affected the thinking faculties of our government officials.
Well, the last one here says new minimum wage for workers to be negotiated. Yes. We'll keep our fingers crossed.
We need that. The workers, the 30,000 naira minimum wage is not sustainable. And let me say this. It is time. This is a federation. It is time we allow states to start fixing his own salary. You can't tell me Osun should be paying the same salary as Lagos State is paying. The tax Lagos generates in a month, is more than all the money Osun is receiving here in a month from federation accounts. So let Osun pay what he can pay after negotiating with his workers based on his resources. Let him still do that. Once that is one problem.
I think that's a minimum.
And then the minimum government should fix is that no state should go below that. Yes, and then a state can go beyond it. Yeah. But no state should go below, including this private sector. In Europe, if you want to teach in the private sector, there is a minimum. Yes. They can pay you the minimum, they will not pay you below it. And so everybody that is working is within the minimum network to the extent that you are comfortable, at least marginally. So government should do that. And again, the minimum wage is so important to us that as it is now, government has about we don't know how many workers they have. Like I said earlier, there is no census. So if we don't know, at least no matter the number of workers they have, that's why we are having problem with the IPPIS, and there is a lot of corruption there. Don't know how many ghost workers, don't know how many they are paying. So, but minimum wage, we assist people as it is now. If you are earning 350,000 naira per month, by the end of this month, your money, the value of your money will be about 180 to 200,000. And that means that, more than 55% of what you earn is gone through inflation. And there's nothing you can do about it. How do you manage your family in that kind of situation? Wow. So minimum wage is important.
We just hope and we'll keep our fingers crossed. The government at all levels will do the needful.
Yes. Let's go to the Vanguard now. just like you said, all the papers are having these post-subsidy removal, policy. Now here, palliatives, Buhari's social register lacks credibility.
Yes.
That's coming from the NEC. And just like you said earlier, why didn't these people say these things when Buhari was there as well? With riders, ask states to generate own registers for cash transfer. Federal government to distribute 252,000. I think we've just listed the proposals. Now, states fail to give definite date on when register will be ready. Labour accuses federal government of jettisoning presidential committee on palliatives. Now, other stories, court orders DSS to grant Kanu access to his doctor and medical records.
Yeah.
Now, reps ask NERC to stop increase in electricity tariff.
Yeah, I think that's the proposed hike.
That hike is unacceptable.
Wrong timing.
It's wrong timing. Things are so difficult. Yeah, we're all seeing it. I mean, it's so difficult. You want to quit people? They should not kill us, please. Like I said, the government is supposed to be subsidizing energy now because we need energy. How does South Africa, gallop to about 85,000 megawatts and we are still on 4,000?
With lesser population.
With lesser population, what is the problem? And we have every facility here to have enough energy. The wind is there, the solar is there, and our weather is good. So what's the problem? Two, this idea of government, state government doing a register, it is a fire brigade approach now. And fire brigade approach, we end with nothing. We are supposed to have done that before now. Like I said, even if the federal government is not doing anything, instead to on a neutral basis, without any string attached, carry out some census in his own state. How many workers do I have? Like how many poor people are in this state? How many children? How many are in primary school? How many are in secondary school? How many are in tertiary institution? How many health facilities, how many people access the health facilities per day, per week? How many vehicles are in my state? And as you register them, you have the number. We do all this. How many people are dying? How many people have been born? Do we have those figures? And so what they want to do now is a fire brigade approach, and it is not acceptable. It is unfortunate that we are in this quagmire, but what can we do? This is what they will do now, and they believe in all this. It is not that they don't know the right thing. It is just because they want to be fraudulent. It is corruption. And this corruption will take us nowhere. And that is why we are this terrible. Now, Africa, somebody was saying, Africa will not be developed except Nigeria is developed. But the fact remains that some countries in Africa are overtaking us. Look at Rwanda. Is South Africa not an African country?
Absolutely.
Even Egypt is better than this place. So where are we? The same amount, less than the same amount we spend on energy under Obasanjo. Obasanjo said he spent $16 billion. We didn't see the effect. In Egypt, they spent $10 billion and they generated more than 45,000 megawatts. They have the result. We didn't see our own result.
I think that's why Mr. Peter Obi went there at this point
that's a
to
big
study
problem.
what happened.
And so,
how they did
when you now say, government like to operate in a disorganized, environment. We have given 10,000 people 80,000. We can't see the 10,000 people. The wallet you can't see. We ask them to pay through credit system. They refuse. The woman will bring cash in this 21st century and be distributing to people we don't know in a particular state. And so it's quite unfortunate. I think we have our leaders to start thinking that it is the legacy you left behind that is important than what you steal. Like a community leader told us in our meeting, he said, if you are a leader, and you are stealing money to buy vehicles and you didn't repair roads, the bad roads will destroy the good vehicles you have bought. Now, if you go to Europe today, as you are entering, they know you are entering. Immediately, they know when you will leave. If you don't leave, they will come to where you are. And if they get you some days after, they whisk you away. We know how many people are entering this country per day. Again, if you are talking of social network, in Europe and America, they have their database. Again, in that Europe, if you are not working, they have the list, the database of those who are unemployed. And then they give them social welfare. And it is credible. And the moment you get a job, you specify you have got a job, they remove your name from that group and you are off the net. And that's why they can calculate 10,000 people, 100,000 people have been given employment this month, and then maybe next month 10,000, whether it is less or more, they will be able to know it and be able to calculate whether government is working or government policies are working or not. We are just not there. We are groaning in the dark, and groaning in the dark will not help this country, which you emulate like GSM. You know, before we started this GSM, it is when all the states that surround, all the countries that surround Nigeria, like Cotonou, Niger, Cameroon, had it. Before we have our, you know, all those Oshiomole were busy. I was in government. That they were busy shouting, they will not take GSM. NITE must function. They gave NITE almost free to go and register a GSM. Till today they didn't register. That's why it collapsed. Now the GSM is here. Those who are against it that time are the people carrying 4 or 5 handsets now. And then, so the way it is now, corruption is here. We should stop it. Development must come to this country. This is the only country we have seen where the country is so rich in resources, yet the citizens are so poor.
It's all right. Thank you, Dr. OLUYEMI OMOTOSHO Jr., for your brilliant analysis day in, day out. Always a pleasure. But the program still continues this morning as at this moment. And let's bring in another guest to assess with us the Commissioner appointees right here in OSUN State. There's been quite a whole lot of controversy, no, not controversy, reactions towards the appointment of certain people in certain positions. Does this fit the bill? Let's take this short break. When we return, we'll come on and we'll discuss that together. Please stay with us.
This iconic African presents the narrative of a man destined to exert an imperishable global influence in Western education. His was a story of a freeborn, captured and sold into slavery. He was born in Oshogun, a native Yoruba village near Iseyin in Okeogun axis of southwest Nigeria. Samuel Ajayi Crowther was the foundation student of Fora Bay College, Sierra Leone, the foremost university where the pioneer set of native Africans were educated. Samuel Ajayi Crowther's greatest contribution to humanity was his translation of the Holy Bible into the Yoruba language. The man who authored the Yoruba dictionary was also credited with the translation of English classic hymns into Yoruba and the Ekwere languages. Samuel Ajayi Crowther's private residence in Badagry, incidentally the first story building in Nigeria, is an archival museum dedicated to the memory of Africa's first bishop. Western Spring Television identifies Samuel Ajayi Crowther as a watershed character in history.
Arrested, affected, sound, found. What do we see? What do we say? Flowing from a spring. A fact A to Z. Check and confirm. Ever expounding current events. Traveling down from the business gist to the globally arising happenings, to the sports news, to the bittersweet infos. Guided transmission. Even diffusion. Vast and fast. Detailed facts are fled. Within seconds, nuggets of words that flew across borders are fired. Stories short and long, wrapped in bundles of words, broken and dissected as it is, except misheard. This is the news as it is.
Sports is a culture on its own. It has its own language, its own people, with their own way of life. The world of sports is never void of actions, stories, dramas, and scandals. I guess you need a sports show that can walk the walk and talk the talk.
On this show, we answer all your sporting questions. The whens, the whys, the wheres, and even the what ifs. Sports Spring is that show that will give you that new lease of life you've been looking for in sport journalism. Join me, Joseph Atewe,
And your sports Amazon, Nengi Ernest.
on this station, Western Spring Television, channel 190, only on Star Times.
Let's talk sports. Let's speak the most universal language of the world.
Here we go, second stanza, second side of the program this morning, and it seems as if it is a white party. This is a white Friday, and Femi and I are just probably staying in this set at this moment, but it's so nice to be back again. And in the course of Wednesday, just this week, the commissioner were appointed in our dear state, OSUN State, but there's been quite a whole lot of reactions towards the appointment of certain people into certain positions or certain ministries to head some ministries, and this has generated into quite a whole lot of arguments that we're looking at competence, we're looking at it's not competent, this should have been a round peg in a round hole. Why would you have put somebody like the man at the Ministry of Health, a lawyer in the Ministry of Health? We have the Ministry of Justice, why not there? And so much have been stated. Where is the Ministry of Federal Capital Affairs? So much. We will be analyzing all this stuff in the course of this program. FEMI is still right in the house, and once again, we'd like to thank Dr. OLUYEMI OMOTOSHO for being here, but joining us again on set. This moment, I don't know, maybe Barrister Moses OBADITAN was a care guide while he was in school, or he's still a care guide at this moment in time. You're looking like a care guide light. Good morning, Barrister. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
I hope you're not going to sue me for...
No, just allow. I'm an African.
Yeah, oh, great. Good one. Thank you, Barrister. Thank you, Dr. OLUYEMI OMOTOSHO. And here we go. Gentlemen, let's look at the swearing in. I know we have the claims, we have and we still have the rundown of the names of all the commissioner nominees on screen. This is where they were being sworn in on Wednesday, where Mr. Governor, His Excellency Governor Ademola Jackson urged them that, look, what he's looking out for is not a one-man show. It is an aspect of a team play, not all these feferities that is associated with governance once in a while. But the point here is, what do you gentlemen, what do you make of the appointment and the portfolios given to each and every one of them? What do you make of them? Where do you feel Mr. Governor should have done this and he shouldn't have done this? Let's start with Dr. OMOTOSHO.
Okay. Yeah, well, honestly, from your introduction, I can observe you said there have been commentaries. People are saying some people are not. Look, heading a ministry is an administrative responsibility.
Yes.
And an administrative responsibility, anybody could handle it. As long as you have the basic education, you can handle any place. The only post in the commissionership in Osun State that is legal, and you must put a lawyer, is the Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice. In all other positions, anybody who has basic qualification, and that's why the Constitution emphasizes basic qualification when you want to contest election, who handle it. It's an administrative position, and it's just headship. And then people can be competent depending upon, your background. And again, the governor is the most important. If you say somebody who read medicine should be the commissioner for health, he has to report to the governor. The governor read medicine. you know, I mean, sorry, did the governor read medicine? And again, is the governor a specialist in medicine? Is he a specialist in works? He is the commissioner for works, and so on and so forth. So an administrative work can be headed by anybody. Now, when you study the situation, you have the basics. You will be able to understand, research into it. If you are ready to work hard, you will grasp what is happening there. And that is why we have the civil servant, you know, the technocrats. In the civil service, they are there to help you. You know, a commissioner has a permanent secretary.
Yes.
And they have directors who are going to work with him.
Yes.
And so, even if you are a lawyer and you are posted to the Ministry of Justice, you need to learn the ropes through those people. Otherwise, you'll be green there. You know, apart from the fact that you have been going to court before, you are just going to court. You may not know how it works, how to prepare memos, how it goes, where to address it to, who to address it to dispatch it, the one that is confidential and the rest of it. So, let me say this. In the U.S., you know, we have had cases where ministers of their Secretary of State or Secretary of Health or Commissioner, Minister of Health was not a medical specialist. Yes. In this Nigeria,